And joining us now is Florida Congressman Greg Steube, a member of the House Foreign Affairs and Judiciary Committees. Congressman, most Americans do want an end to Title, or want Title 42 to stay. I think it's the number 79% wanted to continue. But they realize that the pandemic is essentially over, and the reason for Title 42 perhaps should be replaced by a return to Mexico policy that was so effective during the Trump administration, right?
Yeah, let's return to that policy, and let's also enforce current law. Once these individuals have had their asylum claims adjudicated and in order to be deported, this Homeland Security chief isn't sending them back to their host country pursuant to current law. Have the Remain in Mexico policy back in place and follow current law, and we wouldn't have 5 million illegal immigrants that have come into our country since Joe Biden has took office. I mean, make no mistake about it, this administration is willfully and intentionally violating federal law that Congress passed decades ago so that they can allow all of these illegals into our country.
And we have even with Title 42, I mean, we have these 233,000 illegal immigrants coming in just November. I mean, these are record numbers. So that's with Title 42. God knows what it'd be without. But I mean, we already have these extraordinary numbers, these record-setting numbers.
We have more coming in per month than the counties that I represent in my congressional district. When I talk in my district, I say we had over 226,000 people last month that came in illegally across the southern border. That's who we know that was apprehended there. I'm sure there was more of that in gotaways. That's more than Charlotte County, a county that I represent in my district, in the entire county population that is happening every single month at the southern border. The American people put the House majority in Republican hands come January. We are looking forward to making this a #1 priority for the American people, because the American people support law and order. They do not support the chaos that is happening on our southern border.
And of course, they're not getting the full story unless they are regular Fox News and Fox Business viewers. They're not getting the story, but still they understand how terrible this situation at the border is. And it's not just at the border. We had a report yesterday from Denver, Colorado, where 2,400 immigrants arrived there in December alone. So they're beginning to see the migrants here. Of course, they're seeing the effects of fentanyl. And if all they have to do is ask 1 or 2 questions and realize that it's coming from the open border. So the effects of this open border are being felt hard by Americans, are they not?
And it's killing Americans. Literally, over 100,000 died last year from fentanyl overdoses. The leading cause of death right now between those of age 18 to 45, it isn't COVID, it isn't heart disease, it's fentanyl overdoses. And we know for a fact that all of that is coming in through the southern border. We've apprehended and captured more fentanyl that would kill 6 times the population of the United States just since Joe Biden has been president. It is absolutely a crisis of epic proportions. It is a humanitarian crisis to Americans that are dying every day from fentanyl overdoses, and this administration is doing nothing to stop the invasion that is happening at our southern border.
Well, I got to be fair and balanced here. So how could Republicans have supported an omnibus bill that was chock full of all of this pork projects, but didn't have 1 penny of support for tightening the border?
Yeah, this Republican did it. I voted no against it. And what's fascinating, there was $400 million to countries like Jordan and Egypt and Lebanon to secure their border. And then there was specific language in there that the money that went to DHS could not be used for border security. How backwards is that? The American people are sending money to other countries to secure their border when we're not securing our own border. And the American people are sick and tired of it. There's going to be a new Congress and a Republican majority. And that's why I urged our Republican senators not to vote for that. Wait the days. It was 11 days when they voted on that.
What did they say? What did they say to you when you asked them not to vote for it because of border issues, all the pork that was in it, et cetera?
They don't talk to members of, at least I have not had any conversation with those Republicans that voted for it. I pled with them when I talk about it on the media and when we do our posts and all of our social media not to do it because we were taking the majority in days. And obviously they have their own reasons for doing it, but it's not what the American people want. That's not why they elected a Republican majority, for us to cede all that authority. And it wasn't just this past omnibus. That omnibus was for a year. So they've eviscerated the power of a Republican majority from the appropriation standpoint for a year till October of next year. It's unconscionable.
Well, shouldn't you guys find some way of talking with each other? I mean, it's for Republicans, they're clearly talking to Democrats, the Republican senators. Shouldn't they at least find some mechanism to talk with Republicans in the House?
It was my understanding they basically ignored Kevin McCarthy, who was pleading with them to allow for the time to go by to pass a continuing resolution until we took over, and then we would have a lot more authority to be able to negotiate, and he was completely ignored.
Well, it has to change in the next year if you're going to get anything done in the positive sense. Let me switch to an issue that's concerning a lot of particularly American parents right now, and that's what happens in the future of TikTok. I know the House just banned TikTok from House-managed devices. That's the phrase that's used. But I'm wondering, does that include personal devices that may use House software?
It should. I haven't read the actual policy, but it absolutely should. If you are conducting House business on that device, then that device shall not be able to have TikTok downloaded on it. This is a real threat to the American people. This is a safety and security threat to the American people. The Chinese Communist Party is our #1 national security threat, and they are harvesting all of that information. It's not just government devices that this should be on. Every American should be wary if their child has TikTok downloaded on their device. They should do away with it. If they want to be on social media, there's other platforms out there that they can utilize it that isn't going to compromise your security.
But if you look at Twitter, for example, I've seen, frankly, they've all been Democrats, but I've seen some Democrat tweets out there that have TikTok little videos in there and so forth that I would assume come from a TikTok app that they have installed in their own devices, which probably also have loaded on them some House software, correct?
Well, the great thing is when we get the majority and we pass our own rules, the Republicans can state that type of device, TikTok can't be on any type of device that you have government information on. And that's one of the powers that we'll have in the majority. So hopefully Kevin McCarthy will do that. If he doesn't, that is a great issue to bring up to make sure that that's not overlooked.
And finally, can you do anything? Can parents do anything? I mean, is there any kind of federal bill that could be constructed that would manage to take TikTok off of all devices? First of all, I would wonder whether that would be an invasion of the First Amendment. Secondly, is it conceivable that you could do that when, even if you convince Apple to take it off of its app store, that still wouldn't take it off of all the devices that have already installed it?
Well, Apple's not going to do it. They're so compromised and working with the Chinese Communist Party on a whole host of issues. But certainly Congress can look at doing something there. But parents should be wary of their children and doing the right thing and ensuring that they don't have that type of app on their device. I would do the same thing if it was on my son's device. I would take it off, and I would encourage any parent to do that.
Yeah, I would too. But you know how parenting has gone over the past couple of generations. Congressman, we got to leave it at that. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Well, switching gears to the flight